We start with our MC sitting on a throne, reminiscing that he used to be an average graduate student, Jang Kim, but yesterday, he was suddenly transported into the body of Kratos, the Demon King, in his favorite game. And he begins explaining about the whole-ass story, but he suddenly has a thought. Why even bother explaining it? Because his real problem lies somewhere else, as someone arrives calling his name. He is his closest aide, Zephyros, who informs him that the troops are ready to move out. We see a large amount of demons out on the battlefield, with one of Kratos' subordinate, Azurith, leading their charge, shouting out that they would end their tragedy of barren land and the pain of having to eat their own, while we are introduced to other aides of Kratos, the Ice Queen, Circe, the Mistborn Duke, Hartok, the Blackrock Tyrant, Bahal. All of these troops are motivated, as Kratos comes out to give them a message. The air goes silent, as everyone awaits his command, while Kratos believes that he has to end this war at all costs. He tells his troops that from this moment on, they will cease their invading and begin farming, only for all of them to get pissed and shout at him that it's absurd. While Kratos makes an intimidating face, only to think that they are all freaking scary. On the other hand, his commander also thinks the same thing upon seeing his face. Kratos is worried about what would happen if the war starts, as we see someone waking up from their slumber. It's a playable character, Kimchi for life, with Kratos knowing that he would definitely kill him. Jang went to graduate school to achieve his dream of becoming a rich farmer, and since he believed he was smart, he quickly became the top student. But being the top student, he only got more work cut out for him from others, which left him completely drained, not knowing why he is working even if all the professors are taking the credits. He quickly got pissed at them. His dopamine level was depleted, and his only source of that was this game. Insanely difficult, super slow speeds. No player ever had cleared 19 playthrough. He wanted to feel a sense of achievement so bad that he gave up sleep for this game. He went up to his 10th playthrough. He became the first player who played through the game 19 times. He was sick of it and forcefully praised himself, calling himself and the strongest while chuckling awkwardly. He heard that 20th playthrough is hellish, so he wanted to level up even more before it. But he got to the max level, so he plans to stop here. He don't even know how much tries it took, but he don't care. Regardless, he once again begins another playthrough. But this time, the screen flashes bright, and his whole-ass soul gets sucked into the game itself. Inside the game, his soul is flying through the air at high speed. At this point, he don't understand what is going on, but regardless, he tries to think of a way to handle this. Seeing his blue color state, he realizes that it's his soul, and assumes that he won't take fall damage, at least probably. Seeing the huge tower of life, he confirms that he is indeed inside Paladins of Blood. And next moment, upon noticing the tomb of the Paladins, he gets excited upon the prospect of possessing his maxed-out character, believing that his life as an invincible warrior is going to begin. Only to get a deadpan expression the next moment seeing how his character looks, thinking that he really don't want to be him now that he had a good look. The game respects his wishes and sends him the other way, while he don't get what the shit is going on. Seeing the game is about to hand him lemons, he tries to shout, "Not him! Not him!" And this is how he ended up here, unable to believe what just happened to him. If only he didn't had such stupid though, if only he chose to become a femboy, instead of this muscular hunk of meat. Switching to Zephyros, who overhears someone saying that Kratos has definitely grown weaker. They also believe it to be the reason he called off the attack. It turns out to be his commander, who plans to kill him and cuck him to the throne, while sharing the power among themselves. Hartok questions, what if he hasn't? At least two of them would be gravely injured or even die. Circe asks Azurith to be their shield, so they could try taking him on, which seems to have pissed him off while Bahal is only thinking about food. Azurith argues, what if there is a proof he has grown weaker? And the answer to that is simple for all of them. They would have to kill him. And while outside, we see Zephyros quietly listening to them. He goes on to Kratos, informing that there are reports of fratricide and cannibalism. Some even left the demon territory without notice. And the four great generals are pissed, planning to cut his head off. This report makes him tremble. He knows that he would be dead in a heartbeat if they all come to kill him. So if he appears weak, he would die. But he quickly gets a relieving thought, since if he didn't possess Kimchi for life, he must be a corpse, so charging into the human world might not be a bad idea. And just then, Zephyros takes out a crystal ball to show him a video by General Agma, where he is getting absolutely slaughtered by Kimchi for life. And lastly gets his eyes gouged out, making Kratos sweat nervously as Kimchi stares at the camera. Kratos really don't want to deal with him now, and plans to do whatever he can to stay here. But right now, he would either die from appearing weak to the four generals, or get his eyes gouged out by Kimchi if he invades the human world. It makes him cry tears of depression on why he cannot be happy and why is he even in this world. But he stands up firm, knowing he got one option, to solve the food shortage and calming down the demons. Zephyros tries asking where he is going, and he replies, "Pardon, I was just going to look at some land for tilling." Hearing Kratos say something like, "Pardon," Zephyros gives him a weird look, which Kratos doesn't understand the reason behind. He calls out that Kratos is supposed to be arrogant, narcissistic, and completely mannerless, so it's hideous and horrendous for him to say something like that. Kratos don't remember if Zephyros was supposed to be like this. He only once randomly appeared in the battle with Demon Lord, and it made him popular. Players thought that he was either really loyal to the Demon Lord or greatly respected him. Zephyros calls out this even unprecedented. He has never seen a Demon Lord lose faith of others, while Kratos finds his rambling quite annoying. He calls out Kratos for having memory of a goldfish for trying to farm here, and Kratos tries to tell him that he is still a king, so he should cut it out. But he continues that previous demon lords did try to farm, but barren soil and irregular weather made it impossible. Kratos states that he knows this, but claims he can save this land. Even though he is sick of farming, he will do it for surviving. He starts scraping some dirt from the ground and eats it. And his strange behavior is noted down by Zephyros, causing Kratos to lash out at him for doing so. But he replies he is simply doing his job, which is to record the annals of Demon Lord, causing Kratos to call him a pain in the ass. Regardless, Kratos finds the dirt has no nutrients or nitrogen, which is absolutely needed for plant growth. Plants cannot directly use nitrogen from the air, even though it makes up 78% of the atmosphere. The triple bonds of atoms makes chemical reaction difficult. So humans created nitrogen fixation using chemical engineering, and food production skyrocketed, but there are no agriculture tools here. So, they would need a naturally occurring nitrogen fixation mechanism, which would be lightning. The sudden high voltage turns nitrogen into nitrous acid. It mixes into rain and is absorbed by the soil. He also remembers the Demon Lord's main attack, which is called Bloody Strike. Lightning and moisture explodes together, making it perfect technique for fertile soil. And so, he tells Zephyros to stand back as he plans to use his skill. But when he tries to use it, it hurts him quite a bit, not knowing how Kratos used to do it every time. Suddenly, he looks behind and finds the four general hiding behind, all of them thinking that he has grown weak. Seeing them there, it freaks him out, and Zephyros openly points out that he is 100% weaker, causing Kratos to label Zephyros as an assassin who plans to screw him over and kill him. But he finds using this skill better than dying and goes through with it, only for a few drops of blood to come out, which still makes him feel that it's painful, causing him to act like a bitch. And like that, the four generals comes around from behind while calling him out, politely asking if he is unwell or something, leaving Kratos to freak out, and makes him think, oh crap. We now switch scenes to Kimchi, who has some faint memories of his previous life. He knows that it's his umpteenth life, and he was headed there. He knows that he moved because of a hand guided him, but it's gone now. The hand of fate no longer speaks. And it makes him question, what is his purpose now? But regardless, for now, he turns away from the way of the demon realm. Back to Kratos. All of his generals are ready with their weapons drawn. Azurith tries to remind him of the rules, that the Demon Lord is supposed to be the strongest of them all. Kratos starts trembling, finding them really scary and strong, thinking that he cannot win without any skills and shit. On the other hand, Azurith gets nervous seeing his expression and finds him really intimidating, believing that he is gathering up power before the fight even began, and he has so much power that his whole body is shaking. He still smirks and asks Kratos if he thinks that he can take down four of them in his current state, only to look back and find them all hiding behind a tree as he asks them, "What are you guys doing?" And they reply, watching him fight and deciding if they're going to join in or not. Their response causes Azurith to sweat profusely, calling them jerks, and they reply that they are demons after all. Zephyros is also quick to adhere to the demon tradition, that fights are broadcasted live and no one can back out, surprising both Kratos and Azurith. But Azurith gets still ready for battle, thinking that Kratos has gotten weak. Meanwhile, Kratos is shitting his pants, wondering, what should he do? He tried his strength earlier. Since Demon Lord is supposed to be strong, he did found himself strong, but not that much. Azurith quickly rushes off to attack him, and Kratos remembers his move from back when he used to play the game and panics. And he is somehow able to dodge that, surprising himself as well. Noting that his left foot turned outward on his second step, he would use thrust next. It's exactly as it was in the game. Other demon generals thinks that Kratos was about to counter and tear of Azurith's arm from his expression, while Circe questions, why didn't he, and believes they should keep on watching for now. Azurith tries to attack again, but Kratos once again dodges, not understanding himself what is going on. As all of his moves are exactly as they were in the game, when he encountered him in it, he was stumped, he was quick, had lots of fake outs and tons of attacks. And after dying multiple times, he was finally able to beat him on his 128th try, and by his 19th playthrough, he was able to do a no-hit run against him. In other words, he realizes that none of his attacks will land, leading to a big grin on his face. This causes the other generals to shudder in fear upon seeing his expression. And upon seeing him casually dodging Azurith's attacks, they nervously note that he is having fun, laughing at Azurith for being weak and enjoying himself. Azurith starts to get pissed, while Kratos notices something important. The fact that this world follows the same rules as the game. This realization also gets him a system message, something which he used to see in comics. And for dodging Azurith's attacks with focus, he gets a reward. Some of the game system that the playable character used gets unlocked for him. First up being the targeting system, which he notes was needed to use all special skills. And upon realizing what it means, he quickly uses Bloody Strike on Azurith, which lights him up ablaze, leaving rest of the generals in shock. Other demons starts to cheer for Kratos, while Azurith is on the ground, with charred skin. Though he is still conscious, making Kratos surprised, since Bloody Strike is a one-hit kill in game, and due to his recovery skills, Azurith would be fine again in no time, which causes Kratos to attack him repeatedly with it, leaving all the generals to shudder in fear, as they assume that he is only trying to hurt him and not kill him. But regardless, he doesn't die. He gets another message, that he has ripped off Azurith's clothes and now he is naked, a random message which makes him feel like a perv. But he gets another system, armor inventory and removal function, though he wonders if he even has any armor. And upon checking, he only finds the costume that he is already wearing. But he first wants to finish up Azurith, though he finds himself too weak to do it, and his recovery would make him stand up again. Suddenly, he gets an idea, that even if he might not be able to kill him, he can still keep hitting him with Bloody Strike. And it would also help flood the soil with nitrogen, as he calls himself genius for thinking of such a plan. He also notes that other generals are afraid of him, so he plans on trying something. He calls out Circe, and orders her to tie Azurith up, which makes her blush, as she thinks that he intends to tie up a naked man and embarrass them both. And the first step in his plan is to prepare a lightning rod. Azurith suddenly wakes up, calling out Kratos that he has grown weaker to not be able to kill him with his Bloody Strike. Meanwhile, Kratos again hits him with it. Doing this would oxidize the nitrogen in the air, turning it into nitrous acid. He then orders Hartok to cover the area in fog, and make it so thick that it's dripping wet, an order which surprises Hartok. He believes Kratos wants to do that so the lightning would hurt more, and calls it a really creative torture method, learning something new himself. And so he abides by the order, and we completes the third step, adding fog. And step 4, which is to use Bloody Strike repeatedly, though it's hurting Kratos more than it is Azurith at this point. And we see rest of them watching quite nervously, as blood starts to splatter all over. Kratos finds it quite good, since it would make the ground nice and full of nitrogen. They could get a good harvest from this. And so, he continues to strike him with Bloody Strike. After a bit, he checks the soil, finding it perfect, and plans to infuse the nitrogen this way. And the next thing would be to improve the structure of the soil. It's a single-grain soil, which keeps out oxygen and has drainage problems. Loamy or fluffy soil is the best for farming. So now what he needs is manure. As such, he orders the remaining 3 generals to fetch him some poop, leading them to think that after making an example of Azurith by frying him, he is now going to cover him in poop, which they call unbelievably cruel. We now switch scenes to Kimchi, who is walking alone in the forest, as hears a cry for help. And upon looking over, he finds 2 men, who claims to have been attacked by a horde of goblins and asks Kimchi to help them in return for rewards. Though, upon seeing his getup, they are both left quite terrified. He asks them to not be afraid of him, claiming that he is not a suspicious man, but those 2 finds him suspicious as hell. Horror story level 1 at that. And upon seeing that he has hurt his leg, Kimchi simply picks him up on his shoulder and asks them to lead the way, and on the way both of them introduces themselves, Rivajarahan, the one on the shoulder, and his servant, Dial Frontera. And they try to ask his name next. And he replies, that's starting now. That's what he needs to find out. We now switch scenes to the demon castle, where the remaining 3 generals are left stumped. Hartok is racking his brain on how can they bring him some poop, and if they are supposed to poop and give it to him. Circe gets embarrassed thinking about it, and calls it filthy disgusting. For Bahal, he hasn't eaten for a while, so he got no poop, and he calls out Circe for having none either, which annoys her, as she tells him to not tell them about her pooping habits. Hartok says, even if he does poop, he don't want to give it to him, so he instead plans to kidnap some low-level demons and make them poop for them. And like that, we see the demon village, where a poor guy is begging them to not do this, stating that he is unable to poop with so many people watching, and requests them to wait outside at least. The soldier replies that others said the same thing, but nothing came out, and just then, Hartok arrives, asking for an update on the poop. He walks to the poor guy, saying, no matter how hard you try, nothing comes out, right? And the guy replies, there is nothing to eat, and he is wiping up as much as he can as well. But Hartok grabs his neck and plans to tear him apart for the poop instead. And as he is attacking him, the guy screams in fear. And Bahal arrives, stopping Hartok from landing the attack. Who tries asking, what is he doing? And Bahal replies that he would die if he pierces his stomach, which means no more poop, but they must keep pooping, and they must keep collecting. Hearing which, Hartok teases him for suddenly becoming smart, and that if he feeds them to him, perhaps they would defecate, which leads to both of them flaring up and attack each other. And just then, Kratos arrives, using Blood Strike, questioning them. What are they doing? And if they think that only demon feces counts? Back to his throne, he explains that he don't want feces which contains no nutritional value. He needs to use it for compost. Zephyros asks about it, and he explains that it provides nutrients to the soil. Normally, it's made from tree ash, weeds, soil, eggshells, and chicken dung. They can get tree ash and weeds from the empty houses, but the problem is eggshells and chicken dung. And suddenly, he gets an idea and asks Zephyros to bring him a map of the land. And looking at the map, he realizes that it's exactly like the one in the game, meaning one of the area would definitely have it, as it's a demon seagull habitat. If one is to go through this field in the game, they can find them everywhere. These seagulls are finding plenty of things to eat in the human territories. And they also defecate and lay eggs here, making this place perfect for it. Zephyros confirms, if he is not planning to collect demon seagull droppings, is he, which is exactly what he is planning. Zephyros calls the place the Cliffs of No Return. The cliffside there crumbles easily, making it hard to get a good hold, and if you fall, the waves will carry you away. Which Kratos knows as well. He knows that it's not an area accessible to any player in the system, but he still claims that he can climb it. They soon arrive at the place, looking at which, the generals wonder, what is he thinking? Since olden times, many demons have tried to catch the seagulls, but they all eventually fell prey to the waves below. Kratos tells them that he is going to climb up and gather the eggshells and toss them down, so they have to catch them. And if they succeed, they would be able to fill everyone's bellies. From which, Bahal remembers all the poor and hungry demons. Kratos walks to the cliff, remembering that on his 13th run, he gave his all to climb this cliff. He tried hundreds of times and died hundreds of times. But in the end, he was able to succeed. And he did this by abusing a glitch in the game. When he tries to grab on the cliff, it starts to fall off, leading everyone to flinch a bit. But suddenly, Kratos opens inventory and unequips everything, causing him to glitch in the wall as everyone watches on. And seeing him but naked like that, they are all left speechless and stunned. Kratos starts to roll over, and Circe gets too embarrassed and turns her face away while shouting at him to stop. But he quickly equips his armor again, as Circe watches him anxiously, and he quickly once again roll-overs and unequips everything. And like this, we see him slowly able to climb up the cliff. And soon enough, he reaches the top and stands there menacingly. Knowing that it's a world shared with the game, the ability to equip inventory and an inaccessible map edge, putting all those together, and with some experiments, he realized that it's possible. Baal, upon hearing Kratos say that he would feed them, decides to help him, and before Zephyros can stop him, he goes on to jump. Kratos looks back and sees Baal, who plans to follow him. Kratos shouts at him, "What the hell is he doing?" And we see him failing to climb. But Kratos saves him by going down again with the glitch and grabbing his hand. But he turns out to be quite heavy for him, and he don't understand. Why is he even saving him, as he is one of the 4 generals who wants him dead, so it might be better for him to get rid of him. He tries to tell Baal that he has no reason to save him, but suddenly remembers something. A guy crying and asking him for help. He wanted to borrow his thesis and asked him to talk to the professor once, since he is supposed to be their favorite. But even after all that, he told him that it's his problem. He was scared that they would dislike him or that he would be penalized. But at this present moment, he thinks, what if he could have helped him? What if he tried a little harder? What if he did what he could and gave it his all? Perhaps his memory of him would be one where he was smiling. And so, with a loud scream, he starts to pull up Baal, even cracking his bones. But he still doesn't give up and is finally able to throw him up. Baal tries to question, why did he save him, and even hurt himself in the process? And he replies, because it hurts less than regretting leaving behind those who follow him. Hearing which, makes Baal starts to have tears in his eyes. Kratos also thinks back that he should have done this for him as well, and apologizes to him. Suddenly, he gets a notification, due to using all of his strength despite not being adjusted to Kratos' body. He has earned Baal's gratitude, surprising Kratos that he is that grateful. He gets another benefit as well. Now providing his army with belly-filling happiness will grant him points, unlocking the happiness points reward system. He recognizes these happiness points. He saw them in the supermarket, making him wonder if this place has one, only for the system to call him out for thinking of such dumb stuff, surprising Kratos even more that he can have conversation with the message box. System explains that when his demon army becomes happy from feeling full, he would receive HP, and they can be used to level up. Currently, he possessed 20% of the Demon King Kratos' power, so he should try increasing stats until he reaches 100%. And so, the first thing he tries to upgrade is his stamina by 10. And 50 HP is required for it, which he finds expensive as hell. HP can also be used to upgrade skills, but he don't have enough for anything right now. But now, he realizes that with farming, he can get tons of HP, which will then make him super strong and his chances of survival would go up. And having someone be thankful towards him, it could feel pretty nice. Though, seeing his horrific smile, it only made Baal think that his face is saying, if he don't do what he says as repayment, then he would kill him, and convinces himself that Kratos is an evil king, who didn't save his life for nothing. He then calls out to everyone below, ordering them to catch the eggshells filled with poop. They are all quite perplexed by it, and has no time to react as Kratos ends up throwing it their way. None of them is able to catch it, with Zephyros already feeling done with this shit. But Kratos is quite excited for doing the farming thing right as he continues on to throw them. Step 1 is making compost. Prepare the seagull poop, eggshells, tree ash, and the soil, grind it up finely, and mix it together. This duty is given to Circe, who is surprised at first, as Kratos tells her to use her several arms. She shouts in anger that she is the Ice Queen, and her arms are not for dicing up poop, leaving Kratos to suggest a much easier job for her. All she has to do is stand still like a Zurith, should be easy, which leads her to quickly take up the poop job instead. Kratos was actually scared of her for a second. He knows he cannot let his guard down against these short-tempered asses. But since he is the Demon King, he plans to power through it all with guts and intensity. And the second step is spraying it with water. So he orders Hartok to fly up and cast a fog, but he complains that the moisture would make smell everything. Why must he do that? Kratos once again points towards a sizzled azureth, leaving Hartok to cry from the smell and spread fog across the land. He asks Bahal if there is enough moisture, and he replies that it is getting soft and wet. Now step 3 is gathering it up in a dry space and covering it with seagull feathers. But it would take forever, and they won't have enough feathers to cover it all. And to make enough compost to cover the whole field, they would need the help of a lot of demons. Some things about this job bothers him a little, but he realizes he has to do it. He has to exercise his authority as the Demon King. We now switch scenes to a demon family, where a daughter is requesting her father to eat her. But he angrily tells her to not say such things, and she expresses that she misses her mother, leaving her father to widen his eyes in response. We see a flashback where a hungry demon wanted to eat her, only for her mother to come in between. She takes a look back at her daughter with a smile and gets chomped on quickly after. But his father also states that he won't have any reason to live without her either. Suddenly, their door bursts open, and they are shocked to see Kratos along with his general and aide here. Noting that he has enough energy to shout, Kratos orders to take him in. He tries to express concern of his daughter, because she would be eaten by high-ranking demon if left alone. He gets dragged away as both of them tries to call each other's name. Kratos asks Zephyros on how many demons have they got up till now, and he replies, 20, and they need 30 more. Kratos looks back at the guy's daughter crying for her dad, and he remembers killing her once when he was playing the game. He turns back again and orders the Solider to watch closely for any illegal cannibalism, and orders Zephyros to find more demons and make all of the demons they have now on compost making duty. He knows that he is the Demon King, so this level of dictatorship is acceptable to achieve what is necessary. He has to make some sacrifices. We now see them working, one of them questioning if they would really be able to farm like this. The other one tells him to shut up or the Demon King will kill them. But he don't care, since they would be dead soon anyways, and asks, what would even grow? There is nothing to plant. Kratos arrives, asking if he wants to know what they would plant, and asks to follow him. He saw a glimpse of it, a purple flower that can be planted. The guy confirms if he is talking about this, and he replies that they would plant its roots. Bahal and the farming corps have already dug some up. The guy tries to tell Kratos that its roots cannot be eaten, and if he does that, there is going to be severe stomach pain and death. But Kratos replies that there is nothing to eat here anyways, so they are running an experiment if they can eat it or not, and it should be over by now. The guy asks about it, and Kratos replies that his daughter, she is probably eating it right this second, leaving him the guy terrified. And so, he quickly rushes towards his home, stating that his flute is innocent. So why did they do this? And hopes that she hasn't eaten it yet. Arriving at home, he shouts at Flute to not eat it, but is surprised upon seeing what's going on. She seems quite healthy, as she tells her father that she ate it, and she is full and fine, but her father still asks if she is okay. She assures that she is, as Bahal and Zephyros fed her this yesterday as well, so she is completely fine. Kratos asks if now he believes him. Long ago, humans from another land removed the poison and made them edible. They succeeded in cultivating it and completely eradicated hunger. And they named it Potato. Flute thanks Kratos for bestowing such kind of grace on a lowly demon like her, which causes him to get his first happiness point. This time, he sees the girl with a happy and joyful tears, and once again remembers how she looked that time in that game. It makes him think that even if he is a demon king, there is no rule saying that he has to be serious all the time. So he tries giving off a big smile, while saying, a child like her needs to eat well and grow up strong. And his expressions leave all of them scared, and makes them think that he is trying to fatten her up, so he can eat her later, once again assuring themselves that the demon lord was evil. This is the innermost region of the demon king's vast territory, Chavindahuantar. It is the innermost province of the 5 provinces. Sweltering days and freezing nights, the climate reminds him of the Andean highlands. Long ago, the people of the Andes struggled to find food to eat. Eventually, they ate wild potatoes full of poison. But it wasn't the end of them. Humans aren't just any animal. they take poisonous food and turns it into something edible. Flute's father informs Kratos that the potatoes are laid out to dry, so he orders Bahal to stomp them flat. And so, he takes a big jumps and lands right on the potatoes. After the potatoes are frozen and thawed over 5 days, Bahal stomps them with his meteor stomp move, which draws out the poison, which then evaporates. They repeat this process, then dry and store them before lightly roasting them, and are then left with the edible wild potato, which is called chuno. He orders Zephyros to call the farming core team making compost. It's snack time, which he hopes everyone enjoy. He tells everyone to take only 2 since there isn't enough for everyone. But Zephyros tells them that they got enough, though Kratos still doesn't find it enough to feed the whole demon army. They have to plant the rest. Their crop will come back 100-fold, or even 1,000-fold like that. They all are in doubts if they can really be eaten, since few of them died upon eating it before. But Flute's father states that his daughter has been eating it and nothing happened, but the guy calls him a fool and asks him to look at the Demon King's expression. He doesn't find it a face of someone who would give them food. It's like he wants them to eat and roll around while dying. But Flute's father still eats it, and indeed nothing happens. He cries tears of joy soon after and praises Kratos. Long live the Demon King. Seeing which, everyone quickly chomps down on the food as well and goes silent for a moment, realizing that the Demon King really gave them something to eat. And so, they all start cheering for him. But Kratos doesn't like their chant very much, feeling as if it's some kind of ad and plans to change it later. Zephyros notes that Kratos' face is of someone who always knew they could make the food on this barren land, and now he believes that perhaps he can really end the famine. And with this, he also gets 50 HP, causing him to smirk as he can now make himself stronger. But since he don't know which would benefit him the most right now, he puts it on hold. Now he thinks to split the core into potato harvester and composters, but before he can say anything, Zephyros gives the farming core an order. On their way back home, they have to spread the word in the village, brag about how food is being grown here, and that they promise to give out vouchers exchangeable for chunos for anyone who digs up wild potatoes. Hearing this, Kratos finds him as smart as he looks, even though he is a huge pain in the ass. Now demons of the village is digging up potatoes. One group will keep producing chunos for immediate consumption, the other would keep making compost. We now see Kratos moving his personal lightning rod, one step back from before. And he is using azurith for making nitrogen, and now that they have enough compost, it's time to move on to the next step. They need to spread it across the field and evenly mix it with the soil, but the area is too big. And it's too much work for a crew surviving off a few chunos, while azurith in the back pleads Kratos to just kill him already, only to receive bloody strike instead, as Kratos continues on. Even though the 4 generals don't need food or rest, it would take it a long time to get this work done. And so perhaps, he has no choice but to wait for them. Back to his castle, he asks Zephyros if he really asked the province leader for support troops, and he assures he did. Halt all invasions and send as many troops as possible for farming. They send a messenger to the ruler of each province, but they haven't gotten a reply from anyone. Kratos wonders, if the messenger collapsed on the way from hunger, there is too much land to cover with the troops they have. We now switch scenes to the first province, Ravines of the Damned, where a guy informs his lord that according to the scout, Kratos has really begun farming, and they already made edible food as well. The old guy says that it's expected. He knew Kratos is doing it because he is scared of him. Since he grows stronger when he has more demon souls, he stopped the war and is reducing the number of people who die from starvation to control him. And the guy is the lord of this province, Sartle. He asks his aide if he took care of the messengers they were headed for other provinces, and he replies, he did. So the other provinces are oblivious to the ceasefire and farming. Sartle wants all the demons to starve to death, so they can become his food and his army. So he can finally kill Kratos and become the Demon King. He asks Fikamir to destroy everything related to Kratos' farming experiment. And a bit later, he arrives at the location and tells Azurith that Kratos is a wicked man for leaving him half dead to make an example out of him. But he must not fear, since Sartle plans to take him in once Kratos is dead. Fikamir then calls out the wraiths and orders them to turn the place upside down and mess up the soil, so it becomes unusable. The Wraiths tells Fikamir that they found the compost the scout mentioned, so Fikamir orders them to spread it all over the ground while laughing hysterically. He further orders them to scatter it real well and mix it so well that they can't tell it apart from the dirt and stir it deep into the earth. And as he is laughing, thinking that he is messing up Kratos' work, Azurith looks at him with a deadpan expression. Remembering how Kratos was finding it really tough work, that the compost needed to be finely ground up and mixed well with the dirt, which was an impossible job for farming corps to do themselves. Back to the present, where Fikamir shouts loudly that Kratos is done for, while Azurith wonders, what are these guys even doing? Even the Wraiths are tired from the work, finding it never-ending. One of them calls the other lazybones, and to get back to work, since even if they miss a single spot, Kratos would use it to farm. Number 1341 tells 2718 that he is working awfully hard even though he is usually lazy, and he replies that he don't know why either. But when he looks at the fields that they messed up, he thinks to himself that he is proud of this work. 1341 shakes his head and chuckles, and get to work himself as well. They note they don't have much time left, but they are getting good at this. But suddenly, they notice the sun. They lost track of time while turning the soil and begins to die. But with a smile, they find their deaths to be worth it. And Fikamir also cries seeing them go and commends them for doing well, wishing them to rest in peace. And now, he awaits for Kratos' reaction to it. We move to a large shack and see Kratos and Zephyros, who informs Kratos that digging up the field is taking a while, but this work would take a long way, and Kratos notes that the potatoes are in a state of dormancy. Zephyros doesn't understand, and he explains that it means they don't sprout, so there is no point in planting them. It's as if a potato was sleeping peacefully in the ground, and then suddenly, someone yanked it out by its hair. And so it's faint from shock, its natural biorhythm is paused. You can sometimes quickly end that period by storing them for 2 to 3 weeks at about 39 degrees, then suddenly moving to a dark, warm spot. He was first going to ask Circe to infuse them with cold air, but she is super ticked at him right now. And Hartok seems to be planning something, and he cannot take them up if they gang up on him. So he tabled that idea for now. He tried raising the storehouse's temperature to 73 degrees by asking the farming corps to do squats. But they got tired quickly, so it was a bust for him. But for now, he asks Zephyros to head to the field to see what they can do. And arriving there, his face is filled with shock, noting he got finely ground, well mixed dirt and a terrible stench. He doesn't understand what kind of miracle is this. His field is in fact already now. Fikamir laughs, seeing Kratos in disbelief, and finds his operation to be a complete success. Though, Bahal is standing right behind him. He drags him to Kratos, and who recognizes him. He is one of the bosses from the ravines of the damned, and wonders if he is here due to the message, but he is alone for that to be the case. Kratos questions him, what is he doing here, and punches him afterwards. Zephyros asks Kratos, why is he even hitting him before he answers, and he replies that it looked like he was hiding something, which means it's more effective to hit him. And Fikamir replies that he expected nothing less from the Demon King, but assures that he won't break this easily. Leading him to get hit on repeatedly in between, he tries to keep on his tough-to-break act, and Kratos soon finds it quite exhausting after landing few punches. But he uses HP to increase his stamina, and upon some more heavy hits, Fikamir pleads him to stop, as he is going to speak up. But he still keeps on getting beat up, as he tries to give him information that he was ordered to mess up his fields. Back at the castle, Kratos learns that it was Sartle from the First Province who blocked their request for troops. He knows the reason for it as well, since he gets stronger when he has more demons who starve to death, and Zephyros finds it clearly an act of rebellion, and believes it could be their chance. If he takes down Sartle, it could serve as a warning to other leaders who are unhappy with his orders. Kratos knows that even if it's not for that reason, if they don't stop him, they would keep on trying to mess with the farm, so he needs to get rid of him. Zephyros finds the main problem to deal with Sartle, and Kratos knows that he has the power to shape-shift like a ghost. Even in-game, he was all over the complicated map of the Ravines of the Damned. The whole stage was like hide and seek, so he is hard to catch since he is hiding at his nest. And so, they have to lure him out first. We now switch scenes to Flute, who is looking up towards Azurith. When he asks, what is she looking at? She fidgets and is hesitant to say it. and finally thanks him. She heard that it's because of his sacrifice that they got food to eat. But he gets pissed at her, shouting, "How dare she mock the General Azurith," and threatens to eat her, causing her to run away crying. He is quite pissed, threatening Kratos to just wait. As soon as he gets down from here, he plans to kill him. Suddenly, he hears Kratos' voice. They seems to be celebrating about something. They have whole-ass banners and whatnot, with Fikemir tied to a pole like him. They are inaugurating the lightning rod number 2. This leaves him quite surprised at first, as he gets tears of joy, thinking that he is finally going to be free, and he won't have to look like a roasted ducking morning and night. But Fikemir is planted right beside him, and Kratos uses his bloody strike. On both of them, that is, leaving Azurith to realize that it just means there are 2 lightning rods now. And we see Sartle is watching Fikemir from his crystal ball, and gets pissed seeing on what is happening to him. Seeing Kratos repeatedly hitting Fikemir boils his blood, and makes him cry as he begs Kratos to stop it. Kratos glances to the side, noticing the lookout bird from the game, realizing that Sartle is watching him. So, he plans to make him regret trying to target his farm. Now it gets evening, and we see Flute digging up the ground. Azurith silently watches her for a bit and asks, "What is she trying to do?" And she replies, "That demon king, the 4 generals and all adults are working hard at farming, so she wanted to help too." But Azurith chuckles, telling her that she is just a low-ranking demon. The guy with him was the one who plowed the fields, so if she is going to do something, make it useful. This causes her to thank Fikemir for plowing their fields and becoming their new lightning rod. And Fikemir smiles back, calling her a sweet child, feeling that it was all worth it, leading Azurith to say that Fikemir has already lost his marbles. He mocks Flute, that tilling a little bit of soil won't do anything. They cannot really farm on this field, as the potatoes aren't even sprouting, as they said they would sprout if they make the storehouse warm. But he still believes all of them will starve, but Flute runs away thanking Azurith for giving her the task of sprouting the potatoes instead. Seeing her run like that, Azurith sighs, thinking that low life wouldn't know anything regardless. Back at the castle, Zephyros asks if he thinks Sartle would come to rescue Fikemir, since he must surely know it's a trap, and Kratos agrees that he won't. But he would send his underlings first. If they are to get him off that comfortable perch on that ravines, they have to get rid of all of his underlings. Every last one of them. We see Sartle is watching over the location through his bird, and calls Kratos silly for believing that he would send his children with his army camped out like that. While he finds it shame about Fikemir, he has his one true goal, which is to make his farm fail, so he sends in the Soul Eaters. They start to go in the storehouse, and are ordered to mash up all the potatoes and get rid of them. But upon entering, we see Kratos is already there and was expecting this. He knew that he would send Soul Eaters, so he welcomes them to their graves. They seems quite confused at first, and Kratos, when he first encountered them in-game, they were impossibly difficult to defeat. They are Sartle's second line of henchmen. One problem is that they move in groups, and when they come in contact with the plater, they latch into them and rapidly age them. They are super annoying monsters that copies all the skills you have equipped as well. But there is a way he knows to kick their asses, and that is with the electric attack. The Soul Eaters realizes it's a trap and tries to retreat, but Kratos gives off a big grin, as he hasn't shown them the real trap yet. They all notice some blood on the door, which Kratos put himself on it last night, and with that, he plans to use the ability Kratos used in his second phase, which is a wide-range bloody strike, using the blood that he splattered around. And now physical attack would work on them, so he shouts at Farming Corps to attack them. And we see them breaking in through the storehouse with shovels as weapons. They may look scrawny and weak, but they are an enemy mob in the last map of the game. They have no match against physical attacks. And right now, Kratos feels like a truly brilliant cold-blooded alpha demon king, and feels that he really do belongs to this world. But he also notices that some of them didn't got hit, and plans to take care of them himself. And just as he is about to do it, we see Flute coming out of the potato stack. Kratos is surprised seeing her there, and a Soul Eater attacks her. Her father shouts her name in worry, and Kratos finds it annoying that there is always someone like this in the bunch, but it doesn't matter right now, because taking down every single one of the Soul Eater is their priority. But since his bloody strike is unable to reach, he picks up a potato instead. and throws it right at the Soul Eater. Not knowing himself what the shit will throwing it do, but it does hit right on its head. And the Soul Eater takes it and starts to use its ability on it. And it makes the potato sprout as it falls back down in the stack. All the Soul Eater leaves the storehouse. Meanwhile, Kratos is surprised seeing the potato being sprouted. He realizes the reason. It's due to Soul Eater's age-advancing ability. It restarted its biorhythm. And so, he picks up Flute, and with a big smile, thanks her. But his expression leaves her scared instead, and he orders everyone to stop all plans to bring out Sartle. Because right now, they are better off being invading instead. We now see Azurith, who is completely dazed looking at the sun, questioning himself. Where is he? Who is he? And what is he living for? He then goes on to praise the sun like a goddamn priest, only for his stomach to growl with hunger, making him think that there is still a yearning of life left in him. Flute comes around again, calling out Azurith and thanking for his advice on the potatoes. It worked out well, and she got churnos as a reward. And Kratos has gathered up a bunch of farming core and went to sprout the potatoes now. And seeing the food, Azurith starts to go crazy, and Flute, seeing him like this, plans to feed him. She throws the first churno, only to hit his eye, which pisses him off as he threatens to kill her for this. She apologizes and begins to try again, only to hit him in the eye again, but one finally goes in his mouth, which Azurith finds delicious and Kratos gets a HP point for it. He wonders who that might be, since including the 300 recruits who were paid in churno, and one would be that kid, so he don't know who was the last one. But it doesn't matter to him now, as long as he gets more HP, since he needs to save up for the attack on Sartle. And so, he orders the farming corps to attack and leads them to the first province. But the Wraiths are standing on the other side, and has cut the bridge. They laugh at them, asking, what are they going to do now without a bridge? Only for Kratos to take a huge leap towards them, leaving them shocked at first. But he doesn't make it, and instead falls down, leaving the Wraiths to laugh even more at him. But their face soon turns blank, as they see Kratos naked and glitched into the wall. Their expression soon turns into a mix of confusion and disgust. And like that, Kratos once again begin climbing the cliff using the glitch. The Wraith starts to run away, finding Kratos absolutely disgusting and revolting, who then signals Zephyros to follow the plan, and he nods in agreement. Kratos rushes in, thinking that according to his brilliant plan, the Soul Eaters should be terrified of the potatoes. But what if he were to rush at them alone and unarmed? Seeing him alone, and without the cursed potatoes, Sartle orders the Soul Eaters to attack him. But Kratos uses his special move, Quantum Rush, where he uses the wall hack to get past them and completely glitch inside of it. The Soul Eaters are surprised, feeling something about him isn't sitting right, seeing how Kratos is able to pass through walls. And when they see him climbing up, they all rush behind him, thinking they would win if they touch him once. Kratos scoured this entire map 19 times, leaving no stones unturned. In the game, if he go to every spot they've been to in the area, and then gather them at one spot. We see him starting to pant, and the Soul Eaters thinks he is exhausted, so they shout at each other to attack him. But Kratos tells them that he is not a demon king at this moment, but a veteran player. And we see Zephyros arriving with the farming corps, as he orders them to make them sprout, and they begin throwing the potatoes at the Soul Eaters. Touching which, the Soul Eater makes them sprout and transform themselves as well. And as Kratos is surrounded by those sprouted potatoes, he calls himself a farmer as well. Zephyros was skeptical at first, but this time too, it turned out as Kratos told him. He planned to gather all the Soul Eaters in one spot, and ordered Zephyros beforehand to lead the farming corps along this map. He argued that it's an old abandoned aqueduct, a dead end with nothing there. But Kratos told him that there is something there, a secret shortcut. After escaping the terrible ravines of the damned, he discovered this place after searching the area before reaching the final map. Back then, he wondered, what is this and why is this so detailed? The texture was different as well. And it opened up a new path. It was the path which led here. It also connects to a clearing where he had his first battle with Sartle. He thought that you cannot go up there, but you can, once you clear the stage. Where one also finds the elixir of metamorphosis, and if it actually exists, he would take it. We see the farming corps is quite happy, especially Flute's father, who is crying that he and his daughter can have full bellies now. Seeing this, he remembers his granny, who cooked food for him when he was hungry, and her death as well, remembering which makes him sad. So, he states that anyone who gets in the way of someone else's food is going to get messed up. Bahal walks up to Kratos, telling him that Sartle is strong, so he would like to help. But Kratos orders him to transport potatoes instead, as this is his job as the boss. We switch scenes to Sartle, who is praying to the great heart of the ice spirit, pleading him for more wraiths and more power. But Kratos arrives from above, landing right on Sartle's head. Hao is shocked seeing him here and questions, "How did he get here?" And he replies that it's none of his business, while he cracks his fist, stating that it's exterminating time as he begins exterminating all over the place. Sartle calls him foolish for thinking that he could beat him alone, and he starts transforming into a ghost-like figure, saying that he has yet to see his true power. But Kratos thinks that he has, 19 times at that. When you chase him all over the ravines, you meet his underlings along the way, and by the end, you have wiped them all out. Sartle then flees to this room, where the heart of the ice spirit is, a terrifying artifact that an ancient dragon sacrificed his life to make, a frost that traps the dead spirits. He uses the power from the artifact to call more underlings, but before it can happen, the paladin arrives, and the final battle begins. And then you get to see his true power. We see him starting to transform, telling Kratos that he is quite strong. But he would still win, as we see him transforming into Kratos himself, and Kratos recognizes it as his copy skill, where he replicates his opponent in their entirety, including stats. And as it's the final battle, he is as strong as the player has become, with powerful attack moves and dodges so skillful, it almost feels like cheating. But he only copied the current version of Demon King Kratos, who isn't very strong. Sartle laughs and rushes off to attack Kratos, who uses HP to level up his agility. And so he easily dodges him and punches him right in the gut. Sartle tries to punch him again, but this time Kratos levels up his strength. And when their fists collide, Sartle becomes the only to get hurt, and even questions Kratos, how is he still okay? And Kratos replies that it's like farming, you have to be smart about it. Sartle gets angry and prepares to use Bloody Strike, and this time, Kratos levels up his magic and intellect. Both of their abilities clash, and Sartle's Bloody Strike gets overpowered. And this attack makes him turn into a pile of goo. And since he has completed his advancement quest, he gets a new skill as a reward, Summoning of the Farmer King's Throne. He finds it quite good, since he was in need of a bunch of tools anyways. Sartle again speaks up, telling Kratos if he really thought that it's going to be over like this. Which he replies, not really, since it feels like a second phase of the boss fight. Sartle transforms into a huge dragon, which Kratos finds quite cool looking in person, and his fighting ability and health gauge is insane as well, not surprising that he was the boss before the final stage. But he smirks, as we see the farming core along with Bahal is here, as he tells Sartle that these guys come from the final stage itself. Seeing this, Sartle gets nervous and tells him to wait, suggesting to talk this out instead. But the core attack him and starts beating the shit out of him for getting in the way of their farming, while he begs them for mercy. Kratos thinks that he could have beaten him alone if he was up against him, but seeing him moving and talking like that, he would have found the experience unpleasant. Though he thinks the farming core are still weak from hunger, since Sartle isn't dead, yet despite getting beaten by them for a while. And so, he thinks perhaps they can kill him if they attack a bit more efficiently, so he summons the Farmer King's Throne. The sky above starts to open up a hole, and a light shines brightly, and we see a throne with a bunch of farming tools on it. And the throne crashes right on top of Sartle at high speed, confusing Kratos, and it ends up killing him in one blow. Everyone rejoices, calling Kratos amazing for finishing off Sartle, and call him absolutely brutal and a total demon. They all start cheering for him, and he is simply standing there speechless. But he quickly joins in, thinking, to hell with it. Fikamir also realizes that he is about to die, and we see his soul leaving, with his final words being that he is ascending. They worked all the fields, sprouted all the potatoes, and exterminated all the pests who got in the way of their farming. And so now, it's time for them to plant some potatoes. But suddenly, he looks behind and notices artifacts shaking. He gets a notification about him defeating Sartle for the 20th time, and he realizes that it is counting the 19 times he beat him previously in Game 2. And he unlocks a hidden event as a reward. The power source of the heart of the ice spirit that was trapped and used for evil has awakened. The artifact starts to open up slowly, and Kratos wonders, what the hell is going on? And from inside, a little baby dragon comes out. It notices Kratos as well, and says, Taibong. Seeing Kratos for the first time, he thinks that he is his daddy. Kratos picks him up, and Taibong thinks that when he came out of his egg, it was still dark and scary around him. But now his daddy is here for him, as Kratos gives off a big smile and calls him adorable. But it makes him tremble in fear instead. Everyone starts to walk back, shouting that it's time to eat and whatnot, making Taibong nervous. Kratos calls them nincompoops in anger, saying that they would plenty to eat later after it grows, causing Taibong to cry, as he assumes that they are planning to eat him. After a bit, we see everyone is here to receive them happily, and are quite excited to see all the sprouted potatoes. Seeing everyone like this, Taibong starts to feel a warm feeling from them, and thinks that they are not scary at all while glancing up, only to see Kratos grinning and quickly changing his mind back again that they are indeed super scary. Back at the castle, we see him trembling alone in a corner. He glances back and finds Kratos staring at him, which scares him even more, as he thinks that they are waiting for him to grow up. But Kratos is thinking about what should he feed him. He heard baby dragons eat refined gems, but there is nothing but rusted metal lumps here. Zephyros comes around with a report, informing that just as Kratos expected, they are experiencing difficulties building the raised rows, which he knew would happen. They are rows of elevated farm beds for growing row crops, with furrows dividing them. It's really simple. All you need is dirt for it. But when the farming corps tries to do it, they find too many rocks in the soil. Seeing them work like that, Taibong thinks they are slaves and wonders if he is going to be put to work like that as well. Kratos finds the field more like a coal mine, and at this rate, it's going to take them forever to get rid of the rocks. And if they use this many demons every day, they would run out of chunos to give out as reward. Even if other regions joins them, it won't solve the problem. At this moment, he hopes that he could be like a main character of other comics, and use summoning magic to summon a wombat or something to clear all the rocks. He then glances back and sees Flute working hard on digging as well, causing him to calm down and think for a solution, since in farming, unexpected problems always occur. And just then, a problem does occur. Someone shouts that it's the blade winds, and we see a huge tornado coming towards them. Kratos is worried seeing that. He almost forgot about them. When you cross these plains, these blade winds can appear at random, and if you get caught up in them, your body is torn to shreds within seconds. And so, he shouts at everyone to hide behind the rocks and get in the shady parts, and lie down as flat as possible. He also starts to run back, feeling the wind pressure even though he is far away, finding the natural disaster to be farming's greatest enemy. Suddenly, we see Flute running in the opposite direction instead, surprising Kratos. She seems to be running for Azurith, as her father tries to chase behind her, and she once again annoys Kratos, who hands over Taibong and tells him to protect it, and if anyone follows him, he would kill them. Bahal shouts at him that it's dangerous, and Kratos knows, but he is not about to lose his precious lightning rod and worker. Farming isn't some relaxing activity to be done with your family after all. Azurith questions Flute. What is she doing, and tells her to get lost. And Kratos walks towards them while saying that farming and staying alive is an endless war. He tells Flute to move away and breaks the pole of Azurith, and he falls down on his face right on the ground. We see Kratos starting to get cuts on his skin from the wind. And so is Flute, who is trying to untie Azurith, who tells her that these ropes restrain a general. She cannot undo them, so she should get out of here already. But Kratos comes along and quickly picks both of them up. Taibong is watching all this. He can feel the power of living creatures, and finds that his daddy isn't very strong. But Kratos is still walking through it, while getting cuts all over. Taibong also notes that he is still trying despite that. Kratos tries to make a run for it, but receives quite a bit of damage, and starts to fall. Taibong leaps away from the grasp, realizing that his daddy is a kind creature. He goes in right in front of the storm and uses his breath on it, which seemingly holds the blade winds. Kratos notes that they have gotten weaker and wonders if it was done by a cold updraft. And upon looking up and seeing Taibong holding it back, he thinks that it's too much for a baby dragon to handle and falls unconscious. But we see others are here and carries Kratos and the rest of them to safety along with Taibong. Fast forward, and we see Kratos sleeping in his bed, and Cersei and Hartok arriving, seemingly planning something. Hartok plans to cut off his down while Kratos is still down, and after that, Circle also plans to cut the heads of those imbeciles, Azurith and Bahal. Then one of them will become the next Demon King. And until then, they both consider each other allies. They open the gate to his room and slowly walks towards him with their weapons drawn. And right as they are about to attack him, they freeze up from shock. And it's Kratos' expression, which made them think that he knew they would come. So he has been waiting with his eyes wide open. But they still consider it their chance and goes on to attack him. But Azurith and Bahal arrives, asking, what are they two doing? With Bahal telling them that Kratos is sleeping, so don't wake him up. They are shocked to learn that it's his sleeping face, but it's what they expect of a Demon King. Bahal warns them that he would get mad if they wake up Kratos. And Hartok expected something like this from Bahal, but he is surprised at Azurith taking the Demon King's side as well. Who replies, it's not really like that. He simply owe him his life, so he is paying it back, but next time, he would be again on their side. Hartok asks him to think it through, since even if they plant these potatoes, there are other problems to deal with. He believes the farm would fail and they would starve. Azurith replies that they were going to anyways, and remembers Flute being all dirty from working hard, and tells them that in order not to starve, they would need to risk their life. Even though he himself would prefer risking it in a fight, but still, they both leave, while Hartok warns them both that they would come to regret it. We now see Kratos waking up, and he is surprised to see Azurith here. To which, he sighs and acts up, asking if he just heard what he said. He is exactly not on his side, but he is only repaying him, and before he can finish talking, Kratos gets pissed, questioning him. What is his lightning rod doing, walking around and blabbering? And so, he once again hits him with a bloody strike. Later, Kratos says that they have no time to delay. They need everyone to help get those rocks out of the fields. But Bahal informs him that rocks are almost gone. Zephyros has also built raised rows. Kratos is quite surprised to learn that, and sees that field is going quite fine. He asks Zephyros, how did he take care of those rocks, and he points his finger to somewhere. And we see Taibong, who is picking up all the rocks in his mouth and eating them, thinking that he is still too small to stop the wind blade, so he won't be picky and eat everything up to grow up big and strong. Seeing whom, Kratos quickly calls him out, and upon noticing him, Taibong quickly leaps into his arms happily. Kratos notes that blade winds don't come often anyways. They are big and take time to develop. Taibong can fly up and blast some cold air to prevent them from forming. This is all they can do for now. And with this, field is almost ready, and it's time to prep up the potatoes. Zephyros informs him that they are running out of chunos, and if he should make more, and Kratos tells him that it won't be necessary. He knows that farming's first natural enemy is weather and second one is financial pressure. They have to overcome this as well. We now switch scenes to Cersei, who finally takes off her helmet. And we see she is quite the beauty. But unfortunately, she finds the stench disgusting. She has been avoiding farm work for days, but she is unable to get rid of the smell. Suddenly, she gets a knock on her door from Kratos, who says that he wants to speak with her. She is surprised by that since he never comes to her room, and she asks, what is it? And that she don't wish to speak with him. And he replies that he needs, so please open the gate. Hearing which, she tells him to refrain from saying anything that would cause misunderstanding, and he replies that they cannot see each other's face, so misunderstanding is inevitable. She again tells him to go away, but he replies that he is coming in. She starts to get pissed and turns back, saying that she can't see what they have to talk about, only to find Kratos nude and glitched in her gate, causing her to freak out. She questions what is wrong with him. What man forces his way into a lady's room? And Kratos kneels, confusing her, as she asks, what is he doing? And he replies that without her, he cannot do anything. Hearing which, Cersei starts to blush slightly. Kratos thinks that he is willing to bow down if it saves the costs. He needs her sharp, skilled blades. And while flustered, she replies, when he puts it that way, she is willing to listen, and asks, What does he wants to talk about? Wondering, why is he suddenly acting like this, and finds it absurd. And in the next panel, he takes her to the storehouse, standing in front of the huge stacks of potatoes. He requests her to cut the potatoes. They need to be cut in half to plant them, and she simply stares at him for a bit, and then gets pissed for playing with a girl's heart like this, and calls him an awful man. Kratos explains that it's a simple job. Only cut potatoes with 4 or more sprouts. If it has 3 or less, leave it be. She needs to cut them so that the sprouts are divided evenly. He then picks one up, saying, "Got it? It's potato time," and prepares to throw it towards her, but Circe lashes out that she never said she would do it. But he throws it towards her regardless, and she draws out her blades, ready to slice them as well. And with precision, she ends up slicing all of them. Kratos is really impressed by it, and calls her amazing, asking, how does she cut them like this? He glances back towards her, saying that she is the only one who can help him. And it makes her heart skip a beat, but she again lashes out, saying that she won't fall for his smooth talk, calling him a villain, a fraud. But Kratos quickly gets up and moves on closer while grabbing her hand, surprising Circe as she blushes. And with a wipe, he starts to clean off her blade. She asks with her heart beating fast, "What are you doing?" And he replies that she got potato juice everywhere, so he would clean it off for her. Her heart starts to beat even faster, thinking that she must be out of her mind, questioning, what is that look of his, and why is he so calm, so careful, so serious? Meanwhile for Kratos, it's because if the blades aren't cleaned properly, they can spread disease between potatoes, so they have to be careful with cleaning. He once again goes to Circe, requesting for help, stating that she is the only one who can help him, while thinking that she is the only demon who can help him cut these potatoes while saving on Chinos. And so, with a flustered look and her tsundere acting, she replies, "Guess, I can help you just this once," thinking that she would let it go this once. Silly demon king, cannot do anything without her. Kratos gets excited and runs away while saying that he would fetch some boiling water and rags. They would spend all night together slicing potatoes, causing her to think, why is he so excited? He is a fool, a hopeless fool. We now see them cutting the potatoes, and Hartok is watching from above and seeing them both talk and Circe getting all chummy with Kratos. To keep her motivated, Kratos starts to sing for her. Hartok calls her a fool and pathetic for offering to be his slave after a couple of compliments. We now switch scenes to the lightning rod, who is questioning his existence, his purpose as a lightning rod, and if he is living for the pain. Flute comes around again, telling Azurith to let's play hot Chino. He once again acts annoyed, saying how dare she play games with a general, and when he gets down from there, he is going to gobble her up. But she starts throwing some Chinos at him, but he tells her to at least throw them properly, but not a single goes into his mouth. Hartok finds Azurith to be finished as well. He is beaten so badly that he is a lost cause now. Kratos arrives and tells everyone that potatoes have been cut up and dried, so they are finally going to plant them in the fields. Hartok, watching this, finds Bahal to be always slow. He never expected much from him. He then watches Circe, who is being praised by all the farming corps, and is blushing, saying that she didn't do it for them. Seeing her expression, Hartok asks her if it's a face that a great general should make. He then sees other demons, overjoyed over seed potatoes, so they should be embarrassed according to him. He finds all of them to be fools, so he, the brains of the demon population, will overthrow the demon king and take his rightful spot. Kratos asks everyone to listen up, that soon sprouts will shoot above the ground. And once that happens, they would have to do something called plucking the eyes, which makes Bahal say that he is good at plucking eyes. Whose eyes does he have to pluck? And Kratos tells him that they are not plucking anyone's eye, so shut it. He explains that potato grows at least 3 shoots. They can grow up to 5 or 6. So he asks them a question, if it's better to have more or less of them, and the demons replies, more is always better, but Kratos corrects that fewer is better, and Hartok finds it all pathetic, not understanding the reason for studying this stupid shit. 2 demons talk and wonder, why is it better to have fewer? And one assumes that Kratos might have said it wrong. Hartok gets annoyed and calls them lowly cretins, saying they would know if they used their brains a little. If there are many shoots, they would suck up all the nutrients, and they eat the potato, which will then have less nutrients. Kratos overhears and asks, How does he know so much about it? And if he learned farming? But he replies, he don't need to learn something so simple. The shoots are connected to the roots and share nutrients, so it's obvious. Kratos goes speechless for a moment and asks, how many is ideal number then? And Hartok sighs and replies, obviously it would be 2. If you only think about the nutrient loss, then one can wrongly assume it to be 1. But if that shoot breaks, the roots could die. Kratos acts and says, they need to try something. What would that be? And Hartok replies, that it's an artificially made soil. They put down compost, mixed it with dirt, and aerated it all. The soil would become the perfect home for not just potatoes. It's also perfect for growing weeds, which steal nutrients from the potatoes. So they just need to remove them. It's a natural answer. This leaves everyone shocked, as Kratos orders everyone to clap for the genius Hartok. And they all clap and cheer for him, singing his praises and calling him a genius, which annoys him. He then remembers that his mother always used to call him dumb. So these praises makes him teary, as he wonders, what is wrong with him? Kratos goes to Hartok, calling him demon of wisdom and intelligence. Starting today, he should lead the farming corps as the head farm manager. But he finds it ridiculous, believing that his intelligence is for killing and stealing. Kratos shouts at everyone to pay their respects to the demon elite, and they all chant, elite, elite for him. Hartok starts to get pissed, calling them foolish, lowly demons. But from now on, he expects them all to follow his lead. He quickly says in a calm manner, thinking that he would lead them for a bit, leaving everyone to rejoice. Kratos gets a message that he won his 4th psychological warfare, but he don't understand what is it talking about. Bahal was neglected as a child, but he managed to pierce his tough exterior and make him a loyal subject. Kratos had no idea of it. He became Azuritha's first friend and claimed his violent nature, and Kratos thinks, friend, who? Circe has never been loved before, but he warmed her heart. Kratos finds it great and all, but don't know if he really did anything even. He sowed seeds of encouragement in Hartok, who always sought approval of others, causing Kratos to realize that they were all emotionally fragile. And with this, he gets a new skill, surveillance, something which was not in the game. It helps him see a glimpse of a target's future up to 6 hours ahead. And the target can be a living organism or an inanimate object, anything at all. Even sky itself, seeing which surprises him the most. Which makes him realize that he basically got a weather forecast.